Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the weekend preview for the 2019 Bahrain Grand Prix. Now, before I get onto any of the key stats and information ahead of this weekend's race, let's start as we always do by having a very quick look back at some of the talking points from last year's Grand Prix. For me, it was one of the best races of 2018. Okay, yeah, most of the overtaking was thanks to that extended DRS down the straight, but we got plenty of action. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton came to blows, which left the Dutchman with a puncture. Hamilton then made his way back through the field following his gearbox penalty, and that included a 3-car overtake, of course. And the story of the day was surely Pierre Gasly taking 4th place for Toro Rosso and Honda. What a drive. Obviously, there was that awful moment that saw Kimi Raikkonen released from the pit box too early, which resulted in a mechanic getting injured. Horrible to watch, but thankfully he made a full recovery. But what a scrap we got towards the end of the Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel was leading with just a few laps to go, but Valtteri Bottas in that Mercedes was catching him very quickly. On the last lap, Bottas had a cheeky look into turn 1 but thought better of it in the end, and that ultimately enabled Vettel to take the win. Many still believe the Finn should have, as Daniel Ricciardo put it, licked the stamp and sent it. And I wonder if following his display in Australia with him brimming with confidence, he will go for that move if the opportunity were to present itself again this time around. Could be interesting. Let's have a look at some of the information from last year then, and it was Sebastian Vettel who took pole position on Saturday with a lap time of a 1:27.958. As I said there, he went on to take the victory on Sunday ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, and it was Bottas who set the fastest lap of the race on lap 22, so fairly early in the Grand Prix, with a time of a 1:33.740, and come the checkered flag there were 17 finishers, but only 6 of those were on the lead lap. As for the circuit itself, the track length is 5.412 kilometres, or that's 3.362 miles if you prefer. There are 15 corners around Bahrain, that's 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and there'll be 57 race laps on Sunday. If you love your DRS zones, great news, we've got a third one this season. The 2 from previous years return with one down the main straight, another between turns 10 and 11, but the new one will run between turns 3 and 4 with the detection point being in the braking zone of turn 1, so that could get very interesting. And the race lap record is a 1:31.447, and that was set back in 2005 by Pedro de la Rosa. What a blast from the past. The run from pole to the apex of turn 1 is 501.9 metres, and the pit lane loss time at 80 kilometres an hour is 18.9 seconds. The highest lateral G around the circuit comes in at 3.8 down at turn 12, with drivers at full throttle for 63% of the lap. And the key overtaking spots are at turns 1 and turns 4. We could see some overtakes in turn 8, maybe a risky move into turn 10, but it's really tight in there and would be a huge risk, almost a gamble to take. Perhaps into 11 if the car making the move is far enough alongside thanks to the DRS, but it's a fairly quick corner, so no guarantees there. Really, 1 and 4 are the best spots, as Mercedes say. And with the new DRS zone running down to turn 4, we could well see plenty of action. As long as drivers remember that all the time you have to leave a space. So the Bahrain Grand Prix first appeared on the calendar back in 2004, meaning of course we've seen 14 races there, not always on the same layout though. And during that time we've seen 7 different race winners, but the pole conversion rate is surprising. Less than half of races around Bahrain see the pole sitter take the win. The average win margin, if you like, is 5.683 seconds, with the smallest margin coming last year as Vettel crossed the line, just shy of 0.7 of a second clear of Valtteri Bottas. Full safety cars aren't really a regular feature, with just 3 heading to the track in the 14 races, and it's never appeared more than once in a Grand Prix. And the fastest ever lap around the current layout is a 1:27.958, and that was set by Sebastian Vettel on his way to pole position last year. Once again, thank you very much to Lights Out Blog for providing the stats for this preview. Make sure you check out their website and give them a follow over on Twitter. Onto the tyres for this weekend then, and the compounds available are C1, C2 and C3. And in terms of driver selection, Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel, Leclerc and Verstappen have all gone the same way, with 1 set of the hard tyres, 3 sets of the mediums and 9 sets of the soft, with Pierre Gasly opting to take 1 extra set of the hards and 1 fewer of the softs. Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Fiat and Albon are taking the most sets of the soft tyres with 10. Giovinazzi, Raikkonen, Stroll, Perez, as well as Grosjean and Magnussen are taking 9, with Sainz and Norris and Russell and Kubica all taking 8 sets. What about the weather for the weekend then? Well, at time of recording and according to the Met Office, it's set to be mostly hot and dry. Maybe something to do with the fact that it's a track in the middle of the desert. Maybe. Having said that, I was just as sarcastic and dismissive ahead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last year, and we did get a little bit of drizzle, so that could come back to bite me quite hard. In fairness, there is rain forecast during the day on Saturday and Sunday, so you never know. When it comes to the temperatures in Bahrain, though, according to Haas, the average is a high of 86 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 30 degrees C, and a low of 78 degrees Fahrenheit, which is just over 25 degrees C. Basically, it's a little bit warm. Right then, let's have a quick look at 3 stories doing the rounds ahead of this weekend then, and Ferrari are confident that the corrections they have made will lead to them having a better weekend in Bahrain than they had last time out in Australia. As I've said many times over the last few weeks, Ferrari were the talk of pre-season testing, but struggled for pace at the season opener after Sebastian Vettel and teammate Charles Leclerc only managed to finish 4th and 5th respectively. However, Matteo Binotto believes that the team's performance in Melbourne was a one-off. In Bahrain, we will have to ensure that we have understood and rectified the areas where we were weak in Australia. We expect to see the effect of the corrections we have made, although we are well aware that our competitors will once again be very strong. Ferrari have some very good previous form in Bahrain, having won 6 of the 14 races held there, taking 4 pole positions, 13 podiums and a total of 229 points. I mean, the team really do need the changes they've made to work, otherwise it could be a long and difficult next few races for them. It already feels like a big and important weekend for the Scuderia, but honestly, I fully expect them to be right in the mix this weekend. Next up, and Lando Norris has played down his and McLaren's qualifying form in Australia, urging fans not to expect the team to make Q3 on a regular basis. The rookie was the star of qualifying in Melbourne as he put in a lap good enough for 8th place on the grid. Despite that though, Norris is not getting too carried away. It's not a guarantee that we're going to be in Q3 every time, so I don't think everybody needs to get their hopes up or expect us to be. Obviously, it's what we would like to do, and it's our aim. But if we go into the next one and we happen to, for whatever reason, not be in Q2, I don't think it is something everybody needs to not expect. Hopefully, this kind of shows we're in a better position than we thought. I think it's fair to say it was a real surprise to see McLaren make it into Q3 given the changes at the team over the winter, but was it just a one-off, or can McLaren really challenge the top end of the midfield this season? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And last up for this mini rundown, Haas boss Gunther Steiner has said that the team will be more aggressive with its early season upgrade path compared to previous years. Haas were once again strong in Australia with Kevin Magnussen securing a 6th place finish, grabbing some very valuable points. And the team are keen to capitalise on that solid start, with Steiner saying, "Because everything is new, you have the potential to make bigger gains in the beginning. Our plan is to bring an upgrade to Barcelona. I think everybody's plan is, because there is good potential to make the car better in a shorter time, because there is lower hanging fruit after a car is developed for 1 year. In Bahrain, I don't think anybody will bring great upgrades. I think the upgrade war starts in Barcelona, so I think everybody's upgrading and we are upgrading. I'm positive about that." The Haas boss also went on to praise the team's 2019 car, saying that it just feels good all the time and is very solid. That midfield battle will be so tight this year, and bearing in mind we've only had 1 race, Haas do look as though they have the edge, for the moment at least. On to my one to watch for this weekend then, and I'm going to go with Daniel Ricciardo. The Aussie had a tough first weekend with Renault after failing to make it into Q3 and then retiring thanks to damage caused after running over a drain and breaking his front wing right at the start. So he's going to be very keen to bounce back in Bahrain and really get his season going. And in all honesty, his Bahrain form isn't too bad at all. Last year's retirement was his first at the circuit and ended a 4-year run of point scoring finishes, and his best result at the circuit is 4th, which he achieved back in 2014 and again in 2016. But frankly, Ricciardo aside, it's going to be fascinating to see where Renault are on a more representative track. They've spent all winter talking about their gains in power this year, and Bahrain will be the first real indication as to whether or not they've gained enough. Genuinely, I'm really looking forward to seeing where they can match up compared to Honda. I've got a feeling that this is going to be a very interesting and telling weekend. That is it then for the Bahrain Grand Prix weekend preview, and in the comment section down below, let me know your predictions ahead of the second Grand Prix of 2019. Who do you think will put it on pole position on Saturday? Who do you reckon will take the win on Sunday? And which drivers are you keeping an eye on this weekend? Now, I will be back throughout the weekend with the usual mix of watch-alongs, reports and plenty of discussion, so make sure you come along and join me for all of that. In the meantime, though, you can follow me over on social media. Links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.